everyone, welcome back to the Movie Studio. I am here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be talking all about When Calls to the Heart, the season 8 finale, and I'm here with my mom, Stacey. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, guys.
So we finally reached the end. A slightly extended season. We've made comments on it throughout our an overall thoughts throughout the season, and we're hoping to do at least one more podcast on this season. We might do something like where we rank the episodes, or we might just give like an overall recap. But this is just going to be focusing on the episode, and there's not that many bigger storylines. We got some little development with that, I think everything, which was nice. But what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we got the triangle figured out. So, but yeah, and it definitely has opened it up to, I wonder how this will play out next season. So, yeah.
Because there has been it's been renewed for a season 9,
Mm-hmm.
which I already called it that it would be like revealed at the end of like this season finale. There would be a season 9, and I was right. Because they did that last season.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited for next season, and it feels like such a long wait, but we'll make it through it. I mean, I thought we would go ahead and start out with, we're going to do a lot. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of little things. First up, I wanted to say Ned and Florence are okay. We talked about that last episode, and Ned was nowhere to be found. He returns and he invented the bandage or whatever.
Yeah, he's working on a patent for an actual adhesive bandage, so pretty cool.
Yeah, so maybe Ned will become an official inventor.
Yes.
I mean, this is like back then, So, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of funny because like we're going back to like bandages being invented.
Right.
Where it's very different now.
Definitely.
Although I'm sure some people are still inventing different kinds of bandages to this day, I'm sure.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so they're okay. They didn't kiss, but I don't know, I guess that doesn't matter. But they still shared like a good moment.
Yes, they were happy to see each other.
Mm-hmm. Jesse is okay. He disappeared last episode, and he comes back perfectly fine. And him and Claire decide to take a trip. So hopefully they'll be able to figure out things and come back next season pretty strong as a couple. Mm-hmm. I think it really took Jesse being gone for Claire, I think, to forgive him.
Yeah.
Is what I kind of took away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we kind of, to this point, we kind of got like what we needed for them, because they've been like an interesting point for this season. So, and then there's this whole mystery going on because Wyman Walden makes Lucas an offer for the saloon, and then later on in the episode we saw the Spurlock guy, who was the main guy outside of the cabin. He came rolling in with a Pinkerton towards the end. So I'll ask you, what do you think that means?
I think they, want to come across intimidating, and they're doing that. They're making their presence known. So there's something more on the horizon. So
I'm sure season 9 will get more of that mystery. It's kind of intriguing, although I feel like it's so separated from the main plot.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of weird because, I don't know, I like mysteries that they can like intertwine like with the main theme, but of course it's kind of hard to do that when you have like a love triangle, then you have like a mystery like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like it's pretty removed from the central idea.
Mm-hmm. So far, I imagine next season it will weave into the storylines.
And I don't think this Wyman Walden guy is gone. I mean, you see he's snatching up properties.
Yep.
I mean, he almost got the saloon. I'm assuming... Well, no, Lucas signed the papers, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, I guess, will Lucas get his saloon back, I guess? Well, that's a question. Mm-hmm. I mean, because this Wyman Walden guy is technically the owner of it now. But you kind of see he's snatching up properties. We don't know why. I mean, he obviously... Because he's the guy who did that whole thing with the life savings, but then he gave them back. So what was he doing to want to snatch up these properties?
Well, he sees an opportunity, and he's a businessman. So
even though it's still very suspicious, though. Mm-hmm. Suspicious businessman.
Well, in regards to has been seen with these other guys that are suspicious. So yeah, something's not above board there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I also wanted to say that there are a lot of people running for mayor. It looks like we have Bill, Hickam, Fiona, and Lee by the end of the episode. Yes. So we'll talk about that. Well, we can go ahead and talk about that. Lee kind of found his calling later on because Rosemaria took until the last episode to find that she wanted to make the paper, and then Lee decided that he wanted to run for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it took them like a while. I think it's because like they struggled to find out because they can't. I mean, and kids could still be on the horizon, but it seems like that's not. Maybe I'm sure they might be. I'm sure they're both thinking about it, but they just haven't had that conversation yet, which I think is fine. But Lee found his calling to run for mayor, I guess, and I think he's gonna win. I think they're gonna do that. So my question for you is, what are you thinking of this upcoming mayoral campaign?
I imagine it's going to be full of a lot of comedy. So just with the ones involved, I wonder if Hickam will still stay in light of what he's now taking ownership of, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say whether I think maybe it might end up being between Bill and Lee, but I'm kind of partial towards Lee getting it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would think so too. Which I thought we would talk about for Hickam and Fiona. I'm almost seeing like, of course, there's like some flirtation, but I'm almost seeing more like a friendship between them, in my opinion. But doesn't mean they couldn't move to romance. But I almost thought like I've always had like a theory like is Hickam like different sexuality, just because there's been like different like hints that have been dropped, but I don't know if they would even explore that on this show. What do you think?
I never really got that, but I did see the scene when Hickam is in Henry's old office and Fiona walks in and she talks about his bow tie. She straightens it, and there was just kind of this little, oh, wait a minute. So I did see a little hint of some emotions of romance feelings there. So we'll see what happens with that.
I don't know. I think that was just I read an article about that maybe there's something there, but I don't think they would do that. I don't know though.
Yeah.
So maybe Fiona and Hickam, because they got on a motorcycle together towards the end of the episode, so possible romance blossoming there. Henry, so he decided that he's leaving town officially, which was kind of weird, but he pretty much gives Bill information on the mining disaster, which I still can't believe that this mystery has still been going on and it's suddenly re-emerging. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that Henry's looking at life a little differently now as he's getting older, and he wants to make amends with any and everyone that he has maybe wronged. So this is his way of saying, I'm making amends with this situation, and he's moving on to what matters most, and we'll see if his story comes back in the next season, because as he leaves out of town, the last thing he looks up at is seeing the sign for Abigail's Cafe. So we'll see what's going on there, if anything.
A lot of theories online about that. They say, is Henry going to try to go after Abigail? And will the beginning of the season either pick up with him coming home with her, which I doubt it, or him coming back and it did not go so well and he's like still living with that guilt and stuff like that, which I guess you think about those two options, the second one's more likely.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been teasing Abigail for a while now. I feel like it's been a while, and I almost feel like Abigail's Cafe, sure, it's always going to keep that name, but I think that her legacy, like Abigail's legacy, is going to keep drifting. I think is what's going to happen, at least with this town. And sure, Henry will still think about it, but no one else is really. I mean, Bill's maybe mentioned it like every once in a while, but it feels like, her legacy is starting to drift away. So that's what's making me feel like she isn't going to come back. So, I mean, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It really is. I mean, I guess I've thought all along probably not. But it's just a way to kind of keep, because she was such an important part to the show, to kind of keep a little bit of her there. So kind of what.
And I guess it's kind of surprising that it's all coming from Henry's point of view, because I think it's obvious that Henry had some sort of romantic interest in Abigail, and I think that was shown at different times. Especially, I think up and closer to when she left, I think was when I started to notice it more. And I think it's because she always saw the best in him.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming back to Henry. that he wants to go out and fix that. And of course, she had to leave town because of her mom. And I had my cousin, she's like, well, what if Abigail's mom dies and then she can come back? Which I gotta say, that's a little bit too intense, so I don't think that's gonna happen. But I thought we would move on and talk about the school by the end is officially saved, which I knew it would, but pretty much it's not, and it's because this not Mr. Landis guy is trying to shut down the school. But I think by the end we maybe see a better side of him. But everyone comes together, which is a really cool scene. And Cooper he gets lifted into the air by the bell. So what did you think of this whole thing?
Yeah, I loved seeing the community rally around a special needs child and say, we're going to stand behind her and, we're going to support this situation. I thought that was really neat. I also loved seeing Elizabeth's in her element when she's school teacher. And she's passionate about teaching and teaching everyone and being fair. And I loved seeing that side of Elizabeth in this part of the story.
Because there's a completely different side of her, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done, and I mean, hopefully in season 9 we'll see more with the kids because they weren't able to have them on set that much because of COVID.
Yeah.
So that's why there hasn't been much time with them. But maybe next season we'll get back to a normal roots there. Okay, I wanted to say that Elizabeth and Rosemary make up, which is really good, and Rosemary is giving Elizabeth good advice, saying, you lost your husband, and some men come in for a reason, some men come in for a season, but there's only one for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I don't know, this is kind of a complicated question, but when it comes to reason, season, and lifetime, who do you think fit into those categories?
Well, I think Elizabeth kind of had that started to figure out. And Rosemary said, Jack was for a season, and then so she had to figure out which one was for a reason and which one was for a lifetime. And she was able to figure that out this episode, so which is good news.
Yeah. Oh, and then Rosemary officially wrote her first paper, which that was pretty cool. And then maybe in the future she'll hire a whole newspaper staff. I think that would be pretty cool because she realized she can't do it all on her own every day, printing a new newspaper. So, okay, time to get to the triangle stuff because I don't think there's any. Well, Carson and Faith.
Yes.
And Carson and Faith, it looks like, well, they broke up, unfortunately, which is sad. But and he left town, and I thought they did a really well done job with Carson leaving, and it's sad. But what do you think of that?
Yeah, and almost when the ring was found at Abigail's cafe and they brought it out to him, I almost thought when the carriage pulled away that he was still going to be there. So that was kind of all the way up to the end. I was like, well, maybe, wasn't sure. So and I think she was as well. So yeah, but you
never know.
Gotta do what he feels led to do, I guess.
So I guess he's off the show for now, which, I mean, this specific actor is in a lot of different Hallmark things. He's one of the most famous Hallmark actors, actually. So he's probably pursuing something else, or maybe there'll be a time jump, but I don't think so. Yeah. You never know. So, and then we kind of get like a scene later on, which is between Nathan and Faith, which almost seems like there might be a little romantic connection there, but I think they're both healing.
Yes.
From because Elizabeth, I mean, not really broke up, I guess, but Nathan lost Elizabeth and Faith lost Carson.
Right.
So maybe that'll be something in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. It's hard to say.
But we both were kind of surprised that they were just sitting there and they were holding hands or whatever. Not romantically, but it was kind of surprising.
Right. She was working on his hand, but they weren't in the office. They were just out in public. It was different.
Yeah. Okay, so Elizabeth told Nathan that she was seeing too much of Jack and Nathan, and that wasn't fair. And over time, she realized that because of that, she can't be with Nathan. I think we kind of got that summarized when she rejected him earlier on in the season. She can't be with him. So if she was going to choose him, that I do think that that would have been kind of weird. What would have changed her mind at the beginning of the episode? She was still questioning everything, like her feeling, because Lucas's speech made her realize her feelings for Nathan again. And then at this point, she just summarized. She just made it clear that she wasn't in love with Nathan, and I think it's because of Jack.
Yeah.
I think it's because of her not wanting to lose him too. That's not something that's mentioned, but I think that's also a factor as well. So what do you think of this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, she finally came to the realization that Nathan was her for a reason, and it was part of that healing after she lost Jack. He was the one that came and looked after her, and so it was a season. She's let him know, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And at the end of the episode, it kind of hints that they'll be friends. So it sounds like that will happen. So
yeah, which I'm glad that they will be, because I we talked about this after the episode. We both found it we both thought it was kind of weird how if she would go with the Mountie again just after everything that's happened. And for those people who say it has to be like the school teacher and the Mountie, it doesn't have to be that.
Right.
If anything, it should be something different, because if we're talking actual like character development here and character personality and what a character needs, Elizabeth probably needs Lucas more at this point for where she's at and moving forward. And I think that Nathan and her had a great friendship, and they had chemistry too, and they had sweet moments. But I think Lucas had a romantic connection with Elizabeth that Nathan couldn't fulfill. That's because Nathan and Elizabeth didn't even have like dinner together. And I think that Lucas also has like more of like a romantic like personality or like vibe to him. And Nathan I think was just really confused, and I think that Nathan unfortunately lost his chance, I think, too. So my question for you is that as a team Nathan shipper, just what did you think of this?
Well, I have rooted for Nathan through this, and I do kind of feel bad for him. But and as he well knows, you can't make someone love you, and if she's not choosing him, he has to move on, and he did. He is moving on, and he did it graciously. He went and talked to Lucas and told him, and I thought he handled it so very well. So.
And, I think there's a possibility for a Nathan and Lucas friendship, I think, in the future.
It looked like it.
So, yeah. I think it's still it could be like a slow burn or whatever. So, time for the other side of things, and that's because it was just kind of weird how, like, Lucas, like, it was like, I don't know why. I guess it was for, like, Elizabeth to have, like, that face one more time, like the shock face that Lucas left. I'm glad he came back for her. I just didn't think it was necessarily needed. I guess it was supposed for us to be, I guess, on top of our seats, But what do you think of like that?
Yeah, I think his leaving made her pull out her emotions even greater. That, oh my goodness, I've just realized this is who I want, and he's gone. He's left. So it just shows the depth of where she's at with her feelings for him.
Yeah, because she took off the ring a little bit earlier on. That made it clear that she was ready to move on and accept love again. And this happened, we knew it would be Lucas, I guess, because her taking the ring off happened after she told Nathan that. Because at the end, Lucas comes back to the bridge where she's at, and they kiss. And she makes her decision. And yeah, so for all those Team Lucas shippers out there, I think this was like a season couple, They got together earlier on, and I think it had to work. It couldn't just go all the way to Nathan. It just couldn't go to Nathan, because I feel like they had such a slow build up, and like I think they've almost kissed so many times. They've shared like all these good moments. It had to end with them finally like tying the knot, but like sharing a kiss.
Yeah.
I felt like there was so much build up. And I would just feel really bad for Lucas if she went right to Nathan just because of all the buildup that they had. So, what did you think of her decision?
Yeah, I'm glad that she's made a decision, and she seems pretty set that this was the right decision. So, even though that wasn't who I was rooting for, if that's who she's choosing, then I'm happy for her.
I thought that. I just assumed it would be Nathan. I think going in, but I think that I kind of you said this. I think it kind of reminded of like old Elizabeth before she came to Hope Valley, like that ending scene. But I think they look good together as like a couple at the end. A lot of locking lips in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I guess and one last thing is that you talked in the car earlier. We were talking and you said that so these two are supposed I guess like the new couple and you expressed like a little bit of like question like about like a future husband. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I don't feel like Elizabeth would have went through all of this if she wasn't seriously contemplating marriage with one of these guys. So, yeah, I definitely foresee there being a wedding in next season for her and Lucas.
Yeah, I guess they're the newest couple, but you know, I mean, I'm assuming that I'm assuming she's thinking that. I don't think it's that there's like a lack of chemistry because I think that there's really good chemistry with them, but we'll just have to wait and see. So overall, of course, we were on Team Lucas' side, but I think I'm not as mad as I thought I would be at this point because, you know, Lucas has had a lot of development. I think if she had chosen him at a different time, I probably wouldn't have liked it more. But Lucas has grown, and I found myself liking their relationship this season. And I think at times I felt I liked Lucas more than Nathan. And I think, and it wasn't necessarily all Nathan's fault, but Nathan had some time, especially this season, where he was being annoying to say the least, especially after he just being like rude to Elizabeth, I guess, and of course Elizabeth was rude to him, but you know he was definitely didn't act probably in the best way that he could have. But
I agree. In fact, I would say out of the three, Lucas, my opinion of him grew more than my opinion of the other two. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think Elizabeth grew too. I think by the end, and hopefully we won't see that side of her again because I don't want to see that side of her.
Yeah.
So we've reached the end. Like I said, hopefully we'll have something else related to this for you soon. But anyways, season 9 comes out next year. So yeah. So anyways, thanks everyone for watching B Studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and bye.